Yeah, we're rolling. Last night I read this, but I was so ugly I couldn't put myself on the camera. My face was not to be seen. Now this is the checklist for the revolution. Write it off, write it down. Write it off, write it down. First time I was ever involved with writing stuff off, I was amazed. I didn't know you could write off debts. But you can. When you're a business, sometimes it's just ridiculous. You can't go on trying to collect debt that's not collectible. It just is not possible. So you write it off, you write it down, you take it off the books. You can maybe get credit on it for it being a bad debt, but otherwise, take it off the books. It's a deficit. If you write it down to realistic levels, you can maybe collect on it. But if you keep it being too high a debt for the client to pay, then you're not going to get it. So you're wasting your time. So that's what that's about. Write it off or write it down. Then tax rent. What Michael Hudson means about tax and rent is that if you tax rent, money goes into the Treasury to be used for government services. It's not out of the government's hands. And it raises. It helps keep things realistic. This is what you're aiming for, a realistic economic situation. This is how I understand it. I've been studying this stuff for about, I don't know, 5 years. So I was a neophyte. It takes about 5 years to get anywhere in about any studies, really, to become anywhere near competent. And I got lots to learn still. So these are things that somebody like Michael Hudson, David K. Johnston, Matt Taibbi can explain even better than I can. Some of what I'm good for is to reflect to those writing these great works of economics, which I'm calling the great follow-up. And damn it, I keep forgetting every now and then that if I don't put this curtain up, the backlight interferes with the picture. So I'd have to go back in the book to give you some of the better things. Now this is the one thing that I get as being absolutely true, that I know that I'm right about, that I understand from what they're saying, is that what is wrong with our financial system, the system is wrong, is that the financial system is parasitical, and it feeds off all our economic activity, and it's reducing our ability to do anything because we're paying so much in interest on inflated land prices and all like that. But banking has tried to fool us into believing that we need them, because we don't. And they said we had to give them money so the ATMs would work. Stuff like that. Well, they definitely need competition. Most of us don't have enough money anymore to be investing. Very few of us, seems to me, who gets the bonds. I don't. I can't. There was maybe a time. So anyway, we have to create a United States Post Office Service Bank. This is the one thing to really, really fight for. if we're going to have if we're going to have any leverage with this horrific system that is eating the lifeblood, not just of us, but of our allies. So you fund your government with its own central bank that creates money. A household can't create money. That's a big difference. And it's ridiculous to compare household accounts to what the government does for you in creating money. I'm not, see now, this is where for the United States, I mean, they've got an army and we've got all this kind of stuff, activity. I understood that our money was based on something like, it was based on the petrodollar deal. And modern banking theory is that the central bank can just create money as a deficit spending utility to help the people invest in real business and not just be eaten alive by finance. Don't borrow from sneaky suit bankers with a history of being troublemakers. Most banks are good. Most banks are realistic. There are rapacious big banks that have destroyed us and destroyed our ability to move forward. Pay your Social Security and Medicaid, armed forces and education and parks and other infrastructure out of the general fund. Don't segregate things that are regular obligations paid from, that are going to be paid for, have to be paid for, if you're going to have a country. Keep your own parking meters and airports. These are monopolies and they need regulation, but we do better with our nationalized monopolies than we do with allowing private interests to borrow money and jack up the prices to pay the interest for just changing the names on the corporate offices, All right. Capital gains need to be taxed at a higher rate than worked for wages. Let lenders who lend to people and organizations that can't pay just fail. The truth comes out, things are revealed, things are worth what they are worth. In the movies that went like this, we'd say it costs what it costs, it takes what it takes. So this is what I've gotten out of the great work by Michael Hudson that I just finished after reading David K. Johnston. And I want to get those two guys together and have them discuss where they are together and where they are apart. Okay? And that's where I am now. This is the Transcendia flag magnet that was designed by George Hayward, my friend, the work of conceptual art. And the important thing about a work of conceptual art is somebody else understands it. This is the cartoon I'm working on about how we need to impress on young boys that guitars are better than guns. So I'm doing a cartoon here of the girl going after the guy with a guitar and the guy on the stage with a gun. He's ignored. Poor guy. Another version of that cartoon. See the girls dancing around a guy with a guitar, a drummer and all. I'm trying to get that right. I did another drawing. Oh, there. It just went by. Oh, well, missed it. That's a bicycle race.